Welcome to episode 146 of the Startup Show. Today we are here at the offices of Dufour Aero, and I'm talking to the co-founder Thomas. We talk about being a helicopter pilot, we talk about their startup and aviation, but we also talk why you should not hesitate to actually try your idea yourself. Make sure to stay tuned for the whole video. Welcome to episode 146 of the Startup Show. Today we are here at the offices of Dufour Aero and we are talking today to the co-founder Thomas. Thomas, welcome to the show. It's such a pleasure to have you. I'm really excited about the industry you are in. But as usual on the Startup Show, you get about a minute and a half to introduce yourself to all the people out there who don't know you yet.
Yeah, welcome as well. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Cedric. I'm Thomas, coming from Switzerland, aviation person for my entire life.
Yes.
Flying helicopters and did some as well as startupper. So I created already several startups in my life, and the last one is Dufour Aerospace.
Right. Before we go more into Dufour Aerospace, I want to reflect a little bit on your time where you're still a pilot for helicopters at the Air Zermatt. Maybe you can elaborate like what caused or triggered the idea of Dufour Aerospace. I guess like it is very close connected to your ambition at.
Yeah, the ambition is the following: flying professional helicopters in the high mountains for Air Zermatt since 30 years soon. We had a project at some point as well, building the first aerobatic electric aircraft to do aerobatics. And this triggers finally this project of a vertical takeoff and landing aircraft on an electric base. So first it was this aerobatic aircraft, and as we've seen that, how great that flies, how advanced electric propulsion can be for aviation. We designed this new aircraft. Basically combines the fast advantage of an aircraft, or the big advantage of an aircraft cruising fast, and the big advantage of an helicopter being able to take off and land vertically.
When you look at your pilot career and all the things that you've experienced, do you see any learnings or experiences that you would say helped you throughout your entrepreneurial activities?
Totally. I would say one of the biggest points that I learned is decision making. So the way flying helicopters and the decisions you have to take are pretty similar as the decisions you make in a startup. So basically you have to make sure that you don't kill yourself.
And what else is like, because again, we haven't had so many pilots, especially helicopter pilots, so what other things are, let's say, similarities besides, let's say,
there is a lot of unexpected things. So a startup is very a complex organization. That means you don't know exactly where you end up, and every day there are different things that comes up to you. And that's pretty much similar to flying helicopters. So you don't have all the informations, and this means you have to act and decide accordingly.
And now you also act as an investor sometimes? What is your focus there?
Yes, being an angel investor, helping other companies as well to get their feet off the ground. I'm pretty much on the technical side. So in IoT is another area where I see a big potential for the future. Yeah, as well, mainly technology companies.
Okay, so let's talk about Dufour Aerospace. What you guys do, give us a short pitch so we fully agree.
We started with a project to build an aerobatic aircraft electrically. This flew 2 years ago very successfully. So I was as well with my co-founder, or one of the co-founders of Dufour Aerospace, able to fly that aircraft for more than 70 hours flight time. And this led to this new design. The high energy of electric motors, they led to this new design, an aircraft that is able to take off and land vertically, and then being able to cruise very fast at very safe, very ecological, very cost friendly.
I want to talk about the cost a little bit later, but like when you look at your vision, who can fly this plane? I mean, like today, if you want to become a pilot, any sort of plane or helicopter, it's a very, very long and expensive process. Who is it meant for, and who can fly this?
I would say flying this aircraft is not the primary target. The primary target is using this aircraft as a new way of transportation. And you are way faster with these aircrafts at a cost that for everybody is affordable. Opposite to helicopters of today, where just a very small group of people are able to afford these new aircrafts. They cost like cars, and that means many, many more people on this planet are able to use them. And this is basically the industry that goes into it. These aircrafts will be used as a transportation device for people from A to B, or from into the city, out of the city, or commuter-like travel distances. And this is basically what we aim for. So there will be at the beginning probably pilots who fly it, but the aim is for these people who need a fast and efficient and ecological transportation.
Now, when you look at the different specs of your aircraft that you're building right now, what do I have to imagine? Can I fly now from Zurich to New York?
There are three ways. One is the long range, clearly today's aviation that exists. Then the very short range, kind of multi-copter aircraft, so big drones basically. And then there is the mid-range area. That means aircrafts that are basically able to fly up to 500, 600, 700 kilometers distance. That's like a car that you use basically, but more direct, more fast, 4 times or 5 times as fast as a car.
And now when you look towards the costs of such an aircraft, like what is it that the range is from?
You mean the selling price?
Yes.
Very much dependable on how this industry will develop. That means at the beginning, it's more like today's aircrafts probably. I guess soon, as this aircraft comes into market and will be produced in a bigger amount, they go direction car costs. So the aim is that they come way more cheaper, way more efficient in terms of production techniques. They really will replace a part of the taxi industry in the future.
Now, when you look towards the development, what are your goals for getting, let's say, the first aircrafts out on the market?
Developing such an aircraft is a very complex project. First of all, you have to start with the calculations, and if your assumptions are correct, then the second part is to verify them from independent sources, but as well into simulator. So that's what we have done already. Basically confirm our assumptions. And now you start to go into the detail of the construction. So not only the fuselage or the surface, but as well all the detailed constructions you need to build up such an aircraft. That's right now the big part. On the side, you have to develop the prop design, the aerodynamic design of the wings in detail. You have to develop the control system that this aircraft is properly able to fly. And that's all these many elements are into development right now.
And do you have already like a fixed date when you say like this is our goal and aim to have it launched?
Depends on certification rules. The good news is now there are the first time a proper certification guideline such that you can certify it. Obviously that takes still a lot of time, and there are a lot of uncertainties into it. I would say between 3 and 5 years it's a reasonable time frame such that you can start operating these aircrafts.
One of the things that I'm curious to know is when you look around you and you probably talk to potential customers who are not in aviation, like not the pilots who are anyways flying already. What are the risks that they're seeing? Are they worried about failure engine? Are they worried about like falling off the sky?
The most thing I heard is, will we see just on the whole sky just thousands of these aircrafts above a city? And I would say clearly that's not the case. There will be more traffic in the city, but these new kind of aircraft are as quiet as the average sound of a city. You will have different ways of traveling, different lines where you fly and so on. So this is a fear of the people that is probably too much into their head, which will not happening.
And when you look on the technological side, how do you prevent, let's say, engine failure and things like, as I said before, like dropping out of the sky?
Yeah, that's one of the big advantages of electric propulsion, because you can basically make it much more safer with redundancy. Safer and with not much more cost. So having 5 or 4 or 6 engine motors, electric motors and propellers, doesn't necessarily mean it costs much more. Opposite to today's aviation, redundancy, so 2 engines, is much more expensive than 1 engine. And electric propulsion, you can really make all systems redundant, and therefore you have always a second option to fly away or divert to an airfield to land in a safe way and so on. And this will help as well to make these aircrafts much more safer than today.
You briefly mentioned before regulations. What is the regulations maybe that still needs to be adjusted for planes such as yours to be really able to go into the streamlining process of selling those?
Today you have certifications that are made for the last 40, 50 years of aviation. They're mentioned, for example, like the combustion engine has to look like this and that, which is not true for this new kind of aircraft. There is no combustion engine, there is just an electric motor. And these guidelines have been changed now. So there is a SC-VTOL in EASA, European Air Safety Agency, and now we have the frame the first time to certify them. Obviously this frame has to be filled up with data and information. So you still have to go the process, and it's still not totally defined, but it starts now. And I think this is the melting point where this comes really possible in future.
And what do you think when you look into adoption rate of these kind of aircraft? So you said like you want to launch, let's say 3 to 5 years. What is it that you expect like people are going to use it? Like is it like mainstream, everybody has one at home? Or is it more like specific type of people?
Not specific type of people, because everybody should be finally able to afford it. It will be kind of taxi service when you want to fly from Zurich to Zermatt, for example, and it takes you half an hour and it costs you like a taxi cab. Yeah, then you really think of it, you use that. And still using less fuel, producing less noise and so on. And I think it's more the type that will define if you use it. Speed, comfortable travel possibilities and so on. I think this is the key element, not the one who is able to use it, because that's the big difference. It's not only a rich person who can use it, it's basically everybody who can afford a taxi.
Right. When looking at your team, I mean, like you need a very specific type of skill sets. I mean, not everybody understands like aerodynamic, understands like whatever is necessary for aviation. How would you say was the founding process? How did you found your co-founders? How do you think of the talent here in Switzerland?
The original project of this aerobatic aircraft was built by Dominic Steffen and me. So Dominic is the aircraft engineer. Me, I'm more the commercial person, the finance person. I studied finance and economy. And after that project, or when we saw this vertical takeoff landing aircraft, we got in touch with Jasmine Kent, which is a software engineer and has this ability to build this control software. So now we are these three persons that were the founders of this venture, Dufour Aerospace. We combine each other very good. So the aviation specialist, the software specialist who does all the simulations and control system, and me, I would say the application specialist, as I'm from this helicopter operation and finance side. In terms of the team in general, we have very good high schools. We particularly work very well on close with the ETH and the ZHW. They have a special aviation team. Very lucky for us. Especially these skills in the teachers for this kind of control system that we need. So we very closely work together with them, and they are as well supplying future team members for our company.
Now, I want to go a little bit, more towards macro, holistic approach of the whole aviation industry, which I believe you probably know a lot about this. What do you see, let's say, current trends in the flying industry in general?
Obviously, electric propulsion and all this new technology is a huge trend. So we call that the fourth revolution in aviation. With these technologies now are new ways of traveling, new ways of aircraft, much more quieter. That's one big advantage, and much cheaper, much safer. So we just have advantages in these new technologies. And this leads to a huge momentum now. There are a lot of projects going on. There's a lot of investment in that area. It really is there to change the whole way people travel in future. And I think this is a really exciting time to be in this aviation area.
I mean, I want to take it 2 more steps. The first step I want to take is, what do you think about autonomous flying? I mean, everybody's talking about autonomous driving, so I guess there would be the next step of independence flying. You don't have to even do anything, you just get in. What do you think about that?
it is totally logic and it will happen for sure. Autonomous driving will happen, in my view. Autonomous flying too, it's already today. So autopilots are basically able to fly an aircraft from this side of the Atlantic to the other, to the gate back, right? So this is not something which is not possible. And these new kind of aircrafts, they will be flown in very short time period or mid-time period autonomously, that's for sure. Maybe not picking up someone, mountaineers from the Matterhorn and winching them out. That might take a little bit longer, but defined routes from A to B or from one city to the other or from one building to the other, this will very closely be autonomous.
Now, and the second step I want to take is when you look at 20 years down the line and your vision of what the world would look like in the aviation space, how do you picture it for yourself?
I hope all these kind of aircrafts will come alive and they will save a lot of time of the people. They will as well save a lot of people because, already today helicopters save many people and these will even more help to save people. It's fantastic to have this kind of opportunity now to really go that way.
Now I want to shift the focus more on the ecosystem. Again, you said like you work very close with the academia, with ETH and the ZHW. What is it that excites you about like working so closely with the academia, and how does it help, growing?
In our area, we have really specific needs in terms of aviation, in terms of control systems, and building that up in a certifiable way. This knowledge we have, we're lucky that we have it. We have as well in Switzerland a very known aviation community. We have a lot of fantastic companies, as well electric propulsion. Switzerland is by far leading in this area, that we have a lot of projects and companies who are going that way. That's not only our company. And this ecosystem is very good for us. And as well, the authorities see this way that the future and support us in that. So, I guess we have good chances to succeed in Switzerland or being part of this completely new industry that goes up, and that's a multi-billion industry that will pop up in the next 20, 30 years.
And what do you say about, let's say, the local startup ecosystem? How vibrant do you experience it? Do you feel like there's a lot of support coming?
Yeah, I think Switzerland can do a little bit more. I think Switzerland has a good ecosystem in terms of startupping a company, but I feel compared to other countries, we are still very reluctant to finance this kind of startups because, there's not a real cash flow and profitability already behind. So we have a very hesitating way of financing and helping these kind of startups because they don't know if it's serious or not, and this is a little bit I find it sad because these startups in these new industries, that's the future of working places will grow up and where will be future technologies growing up, and not if you support old industry that are at the end of the life cycles.
Yes. In terms of fundraising, I mean, you're in a very capital-intensive industry, which is probably by definition when you're in the aviation. How is that going, with fundraising and looking for these bigger amounts of money?
So basically, we are happily able to found our, let's say, seed stage on our own. There is as well a risk. So first we want to show this aircraft and these figures are right, and we don't just tell any nice stories about we can fly to the moon. No, we know this is a proper calculation and we can prove that this is working. Now we are building these first prototypes and test platforms to test the components and everything. Basically our seed stage, and that's financed by ourselves. Obviously it's clear that the next step, I would say in 6 to 9 months, we need money, and that's now the next step we have to go.
How do you keep your productivity high?
I have my inbox, which is basically my to-do list, and I write myself mails, and I'm constantly on that.
Okay. How do you foster a positive company culture?
I guess finding the right people and starting the company. Everybody is fully motivated and on it, and everybody does whatever he can. And basically we have people around who are motivated themselves.
Would you consider your biggest mistake as an entrepreneur?
Oh, there are many big mistakes I did so far. So that's my 9th company I created. Many of them weren't that successful as I thought, obviously.
Yeah, one particular you can point out that you would say we can all learn from you so we don't do the same?
Not being too impressed of big names, less impressive names, but very motivated people that you should integrate in your environment.
How do you keep a balanced life?
That's what I want to do, so I'm fully on that. Having the luck to be able to do what you like to do is what makes me happy.
Yeah.
So it's not like working for me. And that helps me to always be focused.
And last but not least, who is your role model?
My founder colleagues.
Yeah.
Because all of them have an incredible big knowledge and are so motivated to move this project ahead. It's always fascinating to see them every day working on that for no money, for just having fun.
You know, my audience always is keen to hearing advice from people who are in it, who are experienced some stuff. You have a moment really to leave your legacy out there on the internet with some wisdom that you have to share with us. Anything in particular that you feel like you have the audacity to give us some advice on?
As a really startup person, I just can emphasize everybody to try an idea that you have.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate to try it. Even if it fails, you learn so much for your future life. Just go for it. Whatever you like to do, try it out. Try to do it.
Thomas, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, everybody out there who watched all the way till the end. Make sure to stay a few more seconds so you'll see who is up next week, and I'll see you on Monday. Have a great day.
Hi everyone, I'm Thomas Pfammatter, co-founder and CEO of MoneyTow.com. Stay tuned for the episode next Monday. We talk about MoneyTow and the future of the money transfer industry.